Good evening, CLC. I'm Naomi Fada. Thank you so much for joining me here this evening. So we are continuing on in my new book, Stitching Your Story Piece by Piece, and we're in week 6. So I know there's so many things that we have covered over the past couple of weeks. You can certainly go back and listen to those. This week, it is a lot about how all of the parts of us work together. So I don't know about you, but obviously this book is a lot about, peace versus anxiety and how can we work with God to pursue his peace. So we really have, we're living out of an overflow or an abundance of peace. And here I'm thinking about all the parts working together. And so the soul, will, mind, and body, right? Because we aren't just a spiritual person. We live in this physical world, and there's other things that bother us, and how can they work together? And so I'm writing from my perspective of my place at the sewing machine, and how all the parts of my machine have to work together. And when one part isn't working well, then it affects everything. And that remembering that the goal of our Christian life is to just connect ourselves to God as our Father. And so when my sewing machine doesn't work, my stitches that are connecting the fabric together don't work. And so when parts of ourselves are not working together, then it is much harder to form that really firm connection, trusting connection with God our Father. And so I started off with the soul here. And before we get too far, I always do like to start with a scripture. And this scripture is from Matthew 22:37. And Jesus replied, "Love the Lord your God with all your heart and all your soul and all your mind." And so really that is what this week in the book is about, is as we work through those things that have happened to us, or process through connecting to God, because we want to love him with all our heart, mind, soul, and strength. So the soul is what I consider, or as I've studied, what is considered the part that connects to God, or spiritual part of us. But then the mind. And so I've ever thought, well, how does my mind form a connection to God? And I think the mind is often the part where we feel our anxieties, right? That's where they kind of float around often, because it's in our thoughts. And to recognize that we really think, or we have 50,000 to 70,000 thoughts in a day, but not all of them are at the surface all the time. And so sometimes it's things that are going on internally that we're reacting to, but how can we think about what we're thinking about? And Romans, find it, Romans 12:1-2 is really a reminder of that. It says, "Therefore, I urge you, brothers and sisters, in view of God's mercy, offer your bodies a living sacrifice, holy and pleasing to God. This is your true and proper worship. Do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Then you will be able to test and approve what God's will is, his good, pleasing, and perfect will." And so recognizing what's in our mind, and that it does need to be renewed or transformed to believe what God says. And that's where I believe, the will comes in, is so we have our mind, but we have to use our will to activate it and say, okay, so this is what God's telling me, and how am I going to choose to put that into practice, or how am I going to work to change some of my mindset, some of my negative thinking, all of those things. And of course, those are some things that we've been working on throughout the book. And the final portion that I discussed as part of us is the body, and recognizing that, truly physical activity, our diet, and maybe even some of the things that you engage with, whether it's drugs or alcohol or something like that, those things are part of, they're going to affect your level of peace, right? Even as far as dietary, it could be that too much sugar makes your mind cloudy, and then you're not thinking right, and then all of these can lead to kind of a path to anxiety. I'm not saying that it's sugar, but everybody has it. Our bodies are different from each other, and we all respond to things differently. And so recognizing, learning to um, walk that journey with God, to find out how He created us specifically, how He created you, and doing that work to grow healthy in all of these areas. And of course, we're all on a journey. So certainly there is no condemnation as we walk this journey, and He continues to grow us, but just the awareness that, as we grow healthy in all of these areas, then He can, that is part of pursuing the peace of God and having His peace really dwell in us. So as you continue to walk out your peace with God, just pray that you have a wonderful rest of your week, and look forward to seeing you on Sunday.
If you'd like to find out more about Community Life Church, you can find us online at clchurch.cc, also on Facebook and Instagram. Join us on a Sunday, 10:30. We would love to see you there.